Now, I want to look particularly at the subject, really, of the relationship between Joseph and his brothers. So we're going to read pretty quickly through the story of Genesis, not read all of it, but I'm going to start from Genesis chapter 37 and verse 1. Now Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. This is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding his flock, the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said to them, "Please hear the dream which I have dreamed. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And indeed your sheaves stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf." And his brothers said to him, "Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Then he dreamed another dream and told it to his brothers and said, "Look, I have dreamed another dream, and this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to me." So he told it to his father, to his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you?" And his brothers envied him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Okay, so let's just set the scene a bit and look about the relationship between Joseph and his brothers. Can you put the next one up, Janie? Obviously, there's a problem with the brothers. In fact, if you look at this slide, which shows you the relationship between Jacob and his brothers. Jacob had his 4 different women through whom he had children. His favorite wife, Rachel, through whom he had Joseph and Benjamin. And his first wife, who was his less favorite wife, Leah, through whom he had Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, and later Issachar and Zebulun. And the 2 maids, Leah's maid Zilpah, through whom he had Gad and Asher, and Rachel's maid Bilhah, through whom he had Dan and Naphtali. So, is there a problem there? If you look at God's order in the beginning, it was for one man, one wife to have their children. Monogamy, we call it. So here you've got one man, 4 different women through whom he's had children. One of whom he loves, one of whom he doesn't love, and 2 who are sort of extras. Hey, so what's going to happen is that the one who is of the child of the one who's loved, the wife who's loved, is going to be the favored son, isn't he? And that's Joseph. You also notice actually there's only 1 daughter, and perhaps 12 boys and only 1 girl. There's not much civilizing influence of the females there. But that's how it is. And it's a kind of quite a dysfunctional family if you look at the story. What had happened, Jacob has returned with his wives and sons from Laban the Syrian after he'd fled from his brother Esau because he'd basically taken the birthright and the blessing from Esau, and Esau wanted to kill him, so he went away and actually spent 21 years away due to this quarrel which he'd had with his brother Esau. Blessing had been given to Jacob, not to Esau, which meant that the covenant going through Abraham and Isaac, would go to Jacob, not to Esau, and to Jacob's sons, the 12 sons of Israel, not to the sons of Esau. And through the covenant was going to come the Torah, and also ultimately the Messiah. So this blessing was very important. And Jacob had returned from Syria, crossing over into the promised land, meeting the Lord in the way. And by the time we get to chapter 37, some quite severe problems had arisen in the family. First of all, Jacob's favorite wife, Rachel, had died on the way to Bethlehem. And as a result of this, Joseph is left without a mother. And Reuben, his eldest son, had been disgraced in an incident where he goes into Bilhah, in other words, has sexual relationships with Bilhah, who's Rachel's maid, and the mother of Dan and Naphtali, and as a result loses his birthright as the eldest son. Two next sons, Simeon and Levi, have both shown themselves to be cruel and deceitful in an incident following the rape of Dinah by Shechem, in which they avenged themselves on the whole city of Shechem by killing all the males there and taking plunder from the city. And in chapter 38, you have an incident where Judah, the fourth son, disgraces himself when he impregnates Tamar, his daughter-in-law, thinking she is a prostitute. Now, you might think, what are those stories doing in the Bible? Well, the Bible tells you like it is, and the Bible actually tells you about the sins of people. And it's pretty clear that there's quite a bit of sin in this family.